I'm going in search of witches.
Witches.
Witches. I guess you found me out, huh? Yeah. You should come around here on Halloween. You'd really see something then.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we all jump off the roof and fly.
You know, sort of like a coven.
You have placed Vesta under some strange sexual spell.
At what time will we be spellcasting?
Hey there, witches, and welcome to Moonstone Witchery, the podcast where we talk about witchcraft and spirituality in a modern context. My name is Rianne Lockard. I am popping in with a little shorter episode because I wanted to continue talking about the sacred art of discernment and say a few more things on the topic really quick just to follow up about it. Not discernment, detachment, the sacred art of detachment. It'd be nice if I knew my own titles for things. Although I guess discernment and detachment really do go together. Discernment is a skill that I want us all to build, and it's something I'm currently teaching about in the academy to a degree. But let's talk about the sacred art of detachment in this little mini part 2. When I talk about detachment, I'm talking about our emotional investment in something. And not only the emotional investment in the thing, our emotional investment in a person, place, or thing, or a situation, a circumstance, or even an abstract concept. When we are attached emotionally or mentally or even spiritually to something, what happens there is that we believe that the bounce back, the rebound, the reflection of that attachment is a commentary on us in some way. And this is why it becomes problematic. So if I'm attached to my actions creating a certain result, it's because I believe that some of my worth or value is all tied up in that result that happens. This is a problem because I have no control over external things, right? There are so many mitigating factors that can contribute to why I could do X thing and not get Y result. And yet, if I am very attached to the outcome being Y result, then when that thing doesn't manifest or doesn't come about or doesn't exist as I believe that it should, I therefore take it personally. That hit comes right directly to me. And I believe that it is some commentary on me, my worth, my value, other synonyms that mean those things, that I then am like dismantled, disenfranchised, and just like generally effed up by the fact that that thing didn't go that way. And it's not just that the thing didn't go that way, it's my interpretation of what that means about me if the thing didn't go that way. Like in the examples from the previous episode where I'm talking about like, oh, if I do this thing, then my partner will know that I love them and then my partner will love me back. Like who says that that's the formula? Who says that that's the equation? And this is why detachment is important, because if we are detached, we can still know that we have worth and value. We can still know that we are aligning with ourselves. We can still know that we're doing exactly what we want to be doing, regardless of the outcome. And in this way, no external thing is able to influence our own self-perception. No external thing is able to kind of come in and like trounce on our worth and our value. No external thing can dismantle us, can take us apart, can make us feel less than. And this is super important because a lot of us are or have been trained to be or whatever, judging our value based on the feedback we're getting from our external reality. Now, as with all things, I mean, I guess in some ways it's appropriate. If I am a difficult person to be around and every single person that I interact with gives me that feedback, maybe I need to know that. But if I am a person who is aware of themselves and doing things with intentionality and purpose, and someone tells me that I'm difficult, if we have detachment because we are operating from a level of that intentionality and purpose, we can understand that someone might have a difficult time with us, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we are a difficult person. Somebody else's struggles belong to them. And it becomes a problem when we take someone else's struggle and we make it about ourselves. And I'm talking in big binaries, and no one's going to do this perfectly, but it's important to start to build awareness around these things, because in a lot of ways, we are making the world about ourselves when it really has very little, unfortunately, or fortunately, as the case may be, it has very little to do with us. Someone else's day is about themselves. The way someone else shows up to me is about themselves. I can show up absolutely perfectly to a situation. And if it doesn't go well, and I've shown up exactly how I want to, then I have to make room for some of the responsibility for that circumstance belonging to other people, or the situation itself, or whatever the case may be, because not everything is about me. And this isn't me being mean to you and saying like, oh, if you feel like you take things personally, like, then that means that you're being like some type of narcissist or something. Every single person alive has some form of narcissistic tendencies. I mean, we have to in order to live, because we are here like watching out for our own survival, right? Like, nothing is all bad or all good. It's okay to have certain qualities about yourself that make you fixate on yourself and your own role in things. In fact, I would say that's essential for self-growth and self-improvement. We, each of us, have to be like self-monitoring to be like, what am I doing? Like, am I acting how I want to act? Like, what are my goals? Like, what am I doing? Like, because we are responsible for ourselves. But then what happens when it becomes like difficult is if we are attached to like, okay, I'm going to do this thing perfectly and then everything will go my way. I hate to tell you this because it does suck and I truly don't like this, but like, yo, you can be perfect and things can still not go your way. And that is like the worst, but that also gives you a lot of information about the nature of being perfect. It gives you a lot of information about the nature of the circumstance that you find yourself in. It gives you a lot of information about the other person and their capabilities and their capacities. Because in difficult relationships, or in relationships with people who maybe do have narcissistic personalities, you can show up perfectly to them. And it's a moving target, my friends. You will never get that validation that you are perfect. They might say to you, well, if only you would do ABC thing, then everything would be fine. And you train yourself, you teach yourself, you contort and twist yourselves to do A, B, and C thing perfectly. And you show up and you're like, been working on it for months. Here we go. I'm going to do this right. And you finally do the whole thing exactly how you wanted to, according to the schema that they laid out for you and the plans that they said that if you did this way, then we would be fine. And guess what? It's not going to be fine. Because that is the nature of dealing with a person who has that personality affliction. And if you in that moment are still attached to the outcome being contingent upon your behavior, then you're going to take that really hard. But if you can have detachment and you can be like, all right, let's run the experiment. Let's see how it goes. I'm going to do these things and I'm going to see what happens. And then they still find a way to not be okay with you, or to not be like keeping their end of the bargain, which is things will be fine, then you get to have this awareness that's like, maybe this is a you problem, not a me problem. Because quite honestly, we're dealing with people in the world. And a lot of us who are on like a self-healing, introspection, self-work, spiritual journey, we want to extend the benefit of the doubt to others that like they are in that same place as well. Like we want to extend the benefit of the doubt that like, oh, well, I'm coming from a positive place and I'm trying my best. So let's assume that that's what you're doing too. And that's not always the case. And that's a really hard pill to swallow. And this really bleeds into a lot of conversations about empaths and narcissists. And I do have a podcast episode about that. And I haven't listened to it, so I don't know exactly what I shared with you there. But with some people and some systems, quite frankly, in this world, in this reality, in this culture, we are not set up for success. And no matter how hard you try, it will always be a moving target. The sooner that you can like see that and accept that, the sooner you can free yourself from that, because it's a rigged system. It's a rigged experience. You're going to think to yourself, like, just give me the roadmap. Do you hear this crow that's like talking to me out my window? You're going to be like, just give me the roadmap. If I had the roadmap, I know exactly how to do the thing and I'll do it perfectly. In certain situations in our lives, when there is a system or when there is a person who is creating systems and these systems are rigged, you will never win. And so the question then, do you hear all these crows? Someone please tell me that you can hear like this witchy symphony of crows out of my window singing to all of us like the song of the witches. It's so exciting. They're here because I gave them peanuts and they must have eaten them all and they are now yelling at me for more. Some of these systems are rigged. Sometimes people are in a situation not for the same reasons as you. Someone who is narcissistic by default is really not trying to have a connection. They're not trying to foster like a loving relationship in which you are both safe and connecting and loving and really like creating this deep emotional bond. They're in it for a different reason, which is control and really centering themselves as most important. And so if you're trying to connect to that person and they're trying to center themselves, if you are connecting with them in a way that they are centered, then okay, those might be the times that you feel positive in that dynamic. But if you're trying to have like real relationships, you guys aren't working towards the same goal. So you're never going to feel like that target is hit. It's always going to float around. It's always going to move around. It's always going to be unattainable. Detachment allows us to see that rather than to keep swimming and swimming and swimming and watching the finish line just get moved farther and farther back, which is a cycle that many of us are in. If we can detach from outcomes being about ourselves, if we can detach from outcomes being able to tell us anything about who we are or what we value or what's the most important thing to us or whether we're successful or not, if we can detach from outcomes, having the ability to measure our worth, and this is not easy, but it is important, then we can understand that like we can do a good job and things still might go differently than we expected. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a failure. It doesn't mean we've done something wrong. We might be sad about the outcomes not working how we thought they would. But again, hear my words there. Things might not go as expected. Things don't work out how we thought they would. Things don't necessarily show up how they should show up. See, all these are the words of expectations. And an expectation is that attachment to a specific thing going a specific way. You know, the word deserve is all about attachment and expectations. And that's why I usually don't engage with the word deserve, because I just don't think that's a real thing. I don't think deserve has anything to do with anything. I think deserve is a made-up concept that exists purely to make us upset, kind of. Because, like, if I think I deserve something, whether it's positive or negative, there's an automatic line drawn between cause and effect there. And when we're teaching children, that's fine. Like, they need to understand cause and effect. When we're having conversations about morality and ethics and like behaviors of conduct, yeah, that's where we need to know cause and effect. If I speak rudely to you, you're going to be less like warm towards me. Cause, effect, totally makes sense. But deserve is like a merit measurement system. And what are all of the factors that go into it? What makes someone deserving of happiness and what makes someone else deserving of unhappiness? Nothing. Like, who knows? Every single person alive has gone through hard things and has gone through good things. Every single person alive has been given trials and tribulations to overcome, and whether they've overcome them or have succumbed to them is variant and variable, but it's never going to be a result that says, like, oh, well, you deserve to be upset right now, or you deserve to feel bad right now, because I just don't believe in that. I just don't believe in it. I don't. There are outcomes for specific behaviors. If I murder someone, I will go to jail, right? Pretty straightforward. But we also have all heard stories where, like, someone, maybe it makes sense that they, like, I watched this documentary where this kid had been, like, kidnapped by his dad when he was, like, 8 or something, and, like, he ended up murdering his dad, and it was this whole twisted thing where the premise is, like, this kid shouldn't be even arrested because of what they had gone through, but yes, he did murder his dad. And then you hear the whole story of, like, being kidnapped and taken from his mother, and, like, not allowed to go to school and never allowed to leave the house, prisoner in his own home, and, like, abuse and violence and all this stuff. And you end up being like, well, objectively murder's bad, but I do understand in this situation what happened here, because nothing's really ever 1000% straightforward. I'm not advocating for, like, murderers, like, you know, but I think you understand what I'm talking to you about, which is, like, the concept of deserve is really kind of problematic. And I just want you to sit with that, because we will use the word deserve against ourselves to condemn ourselves, to be hard on ourselves, to, like, bring ourselves down. And I don't think we deserve that. I don't think we should be doing that to ourselves. I really think that instead what we should be doing is being like, can I have compassion for why I'm acting this way? Can I understand what my actual problem is? Oh, okay, traced it back, figured out I got super triggered out, I'm annoyed and upset. Can I take ownership of that? Can I be like, oh, got triggered, let me work through the trigger. Who do I need to, like, apologize to? Who do I need to have an empowered conversation with? Who do I need to explain myself to? And don't forget to add yourself into that conversation with yourself. And then it's like, all right, how do I want to make this right so that I'm right with myself at the end of this situation? What do I need to do to make myself feel more in alignment so that everything's cool for me? I'm good with myself. Have I said all the things I need to say? Have I done all the things that I need to do? If so, I can lay it down, put it to rest, keep it moving. I am no longer attached to, does this person understand and validate me? And therefore, I'm allowed to understand and validate myself. Because, that is giving so much power to somebody else. And that is a stressful way to live, my friend. The whole reason I'm, like, up on my soapbox about detachment is because I'm trying to bring us all a little more peace. And because, like, right now the systems are really rigged. Like, look at the financial situation that we are all in. No one has gotten a raise that has kept up with the inflation situation. So, like, literally baseline cost of things has gone up some amount, 15%, I don't know. To be alive has become significantly more expensive. But I don't see everyone's paycheck bumping up that same percentage to keep up with it. And yet, how many people are feeling like failures because they're having a hard time making ends meet? You are not a failure. This is not a cause and effect scenario. This is not your fault. You cannot be attached to, I am only doing a good job if I can pay all my bills with ease, and then all the bills go up, but your income does not. There are only a certain number of hours in the day. This is not a you problem. This is a system problem. But we are very attached to, and if we are very attached to these outer things being like commentaries on our inner success or value, then even when it's clearly not your fault, if you can't still meet that benchmark, you're going to feel like you are somehow defective and you are somehow a problem. And that is why we need detachment. because you are not doing anything. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not doing anything differently. You're not making epic mistakes. The game changed. The rules changed on you without your consent or even your awareness. All of a sudden, all of us had to be like, are you kidding me about the cost of these groceries right now? Like, what happened? And we're all like puzzled, shaking our heads, like hoping it switches back or hoping that things get better. And then they don't. And then we're like, why am I struggling so much? Oh my God, because we're forgetting to correlate. We have to detach in order to have some ease. Because additionally, the other side of this is like when we are detached, the things that actually matter to us become so much more clear. If I'm all invested in every single thing that happens because I think it's all a commentary on me and my worth, how do I know which things I actually care about? That's where I make mistakes. If I super duper care that like the like other moms from the school, like the PTA or whatever, if I super duper care about their opinion about me, and I super duper care about like what my vet thinks about how I'm caring for my animals, and I super duper care about my partner and what's going on with them, and I super duper care about my kids, what happens when all four of those things at the same time are asking something of me? How do I know which thing I pick? How do I know which thing I engage with? How do I know which thing I invest in? If I'm attached to all of those being somehow about my worth and value, I'm setting myself up for failure. I'm setting myself up to feel bad about myself. But if I have mastered this discernment, if I have mastered this art of detachment, then I can go, oh, okay, well, the PTA moms can just like hang out for a little while. I'll send an email and be like, sorry, can't do it right now. I'll hit you back up tomorrow. The vet can get rescheduled and they're fine. I can have a conversation with my partner and then take my kids to their activity, and I can do some creative maneuvering with my schedule, and it'll all be fine. And like the things that I'm actually invested in, they become super clear to me because I'm not attached so hard to the outcomes of the PTA people and the vet because they don't matter as much. I am attached to the outcomes with my children or my partner because I actually am invested there, and that's worth my time and energy. And so we can't begin to really have a lot of boundary work unless we start to do work around detachment. And so that's why I'm kind of laying this foundation for you. The more that you're able to appropriately attach to things that deserve your time and attention, there I said deserve again, but that are like valuable enough for your time and attention, the more that you're able to be like, oh, this other thing is not that deep though. I'm good. It's okay. Maybe this sounds obvious, but it's really not obvious to many of us. And I think it's an important part of the thing to clarify and to talk about, because a lot of these things that I'm sharing with you guys on this podcast are things that are obvious in retrospect. They're things that like would have been super helpful if someone had told me that before. And that's why I'm here sort of telling us about it now, so we can like start to integrate these concepts and figure out like, oh yeah, where am I attached to things that like I actually probably objectively don't actually care about? Well, that's interesting to consider, right? How many things are you attached to that you might not actually care about? That's a good shadow work journal prompt for you. Like, what are the things that I am like way putting myself into, and like, why am I doing that? And like, if I removed the feedback about myself being of any value from these things, like, do I still care? Am I still invested? Like, if I kind of say these are just neutral experiences that just are, and I can't really influence them too much, am I still invested? Do I still super care about it? Good journal prompt for yourself with some shadow work. You know, there's this book called A Course in Miracles, and I've talked about it before. It's an interesting book, but I do and don't recommend it for whatever reasons. I'm not gonna go on a rabbit hole. But Course in Miracles, the very first lesson that it has is actually all about detachment, and it's kind of like a mind fuck. Let me blip out for a second and go like, I want to get the wording right. Okay, so the very first lesson is nothing that I see means anything. And like, way to start your book with like a reality slam, right? Now, this is apparently a channel text. It is like 365 days, different lessons each day. They're short. There's a Christianity base to the framing of the Course in Miracles, but presumably it's a channel text that is like here to like slam our realities, and it does. It really does slam our realities. So that first one's a doozy, right? Nothing I see means anything. Like, whoa. And if you like just look around wherever you are, nothing that you see means anything. Like, it could be really nihilistic and like being like really like depressing and like existential crisis time, but like it's also kind of like profoundly freeing, because it's a commentary about the meaning inherent to things versus the meaning assigned to things. And that gives us like, that goes right into day 2. Lesson 2 is, well, let me just get the wording right again. Yeah, so lesson 2 is, I have given everything I see all of the meaning that it has to me. So like every single thing that you own or that like exists to you, the meaning that it has is specific to you. You have bestowed its meaning upon itself based on the complex nature of your own lived experiences and your own preconditioning and your own programming and all the things about you that make you you, okay? You have given those things their meaning. This is profound. And it's like gross at the same time. And it like can spiral us into this place of like, oh my God, meaninglessness, right? But it's like also like, wow, like I am so in charge. And if you struggle with like well, hoarding or like having too much clutter, like this is a good one. Like these first few lessons are actually helpful because they start to allow you to be like, oh, this one, I don't know, figurine that I have, the actual figurine itself is nice. It's pretty objectively, like it exists in reality. It is a frog, like whatever. But this one figurine, like, is not like the entirety of my relationship with my grandma. Like it represents that, it has sentimental value to it, but like all of the relationship with my grandma is not concentrated into this frog. It exists in myself. And I have transferred some of that energy and attachment and like sentimentality and like the beautiful relationship, because not all attachment is bad. I have transferred some of that like beauty into this frog because it like reminds me of grandma. But it in and of itself does not have so much power that it holds captive all of that meaning. I have assigned that meaning to it. And ergo, should I lose it? Should I depart from it? Should I move away from it? Should I, get rid of it? I still have the meaning that it was holding for me. It is a placeholder for that meaning. It is a little compartment where that meaning can be filed, but I have assigned that meaning to it. It innately just is. There is a neutrality to existence that we are afraid of, and that is also super empowering to know about. It can be terrifying to realize that mostly everything is neutral. Everything just is. And that we are assigning all of that meaning and all of that interpretation and all of that extra stuff, we are assigning to it. We are putting it into it. When in reality, most things just are. And if we can have the capacity within ourselves to see and to know that and to hold that thought while simultaneously understanding that like meaning is not necessarily bad. It is what happens when we assign meaning to things that can be harmful to ourselves. See, that's an empowered space to stand. This relationship with this person exists. It just is. I have said that this relationship's existence gives me some worth and value. I have assigned that meaning to it. And if and when that relationship stops making me feel more worthy and more valuable, I can then retract and pull back that meaning that I have assigned to that relationship. And I no longer derive my worth and my value from that relationship. The relationship simply exists. I have put that meaning into it. And if I am able to detach and say like, oh, give me back my worth and value, I assigned it to this relationship, but that might not have been for my highest good. Well, now the relationship can be just neutral and all that charge comes out of it. And I'm no longer in this performance plan of like acting correctly in order to retrieve my worth and value. It just exists. Things just exist. And we assign the meaning to them. And that is detachment. So this realization is an exercise in holding a space for neutrality and being aware of the places where we are attributing other things to neutrality. And I'm not on a campaign against being attached to things. I just want to make that really clear. Like, I think attachment's really beautiful. I am attached to certain things in my life and I think they're important and I love them and I care about them and I have a lot of value placed in them. And if I were to lose those things, I would be sad, but I would be able to say, I am sad about this loss, but I still have the energy of the reason why I was attached to the thing. Like I still have that sentimentality. I had focused it into this object, but now I just like reclaim my focus and I will attach to something else. And it makes my life a lot easier to navigate because it's beautiful to have things that represent other things. And it's beautiful to care about those things. It's good. It helps us know what to invest in. If I really love a certain practice in life, like I might want to invest in that. If I really love riding a bike, I'm going to invest in that. I'm going to devote my time and energy to it because I am attached to it because I like that experience. It helps guide me. It helps me know where to go, where to put my energy. But a lot of us are making this mistake of attaching to things that maybe we don't want to be attached to, or investing in things that maybe don't actually serve us in our highest good and don't actually fill us back up and are actually not measuring what we think they're measuring. My capacity to ride a bike is not an assessment on my value as a person. It's just something I enjoy. And if I can't ride a bike, that doesn't mean I can't enjoy something else. We get really stuck on being attached to external things when really we forget to realize that we put that there. And if we put it there, then we can move it around or put it somewhere else. And sometimes we attach to things because we think we're supposed to, or some family member told us to. Like we might attach to this idea of having a certain degree or achieving a certain promotion or reaching a certain level of success or buying a house and having a certain car and having a family and whatever. And we make a lot of choices based on these ideas that we're attached to the ideas. But when it comes time to implement and live those ideas, we might not actually like that so much. And we have to be able to be like, these things are neutral. What are things that I like? And when it comes to your witchcraft, the reason I want us to detach is because I want us to make an abundance of room. Because look at it this way. If we're attached to reality having to go a certain way, then that means that we're attached to outcomes being very important. And that means that we are trying to control reality, which, as we're already talking about a lot here, like, it's not possible. We can't control reality. Like, a lot of the times, like, I have no say over anything. Like, this is why a lot of really advanced spiritual and, like, ascended and, like, connected people get to a point where they're like, honestly, I have no idea. I don't know anything about anything, right? I just said to the academy yesterday, like we know nothing about nothing. Because the more you learn, the more you realize you have no idea. And you're able to simmer yourself way down and be very humble and understand the amount of influence that you can have is both very expansive and paradoxically, because of duality, it's also limited to a degree. We are each operating in little individual bubbles of reality. These bubbles of reality are infinitely huge, and they're also very, very small. You are able to influence your own reality beautifully, perfectly. You can do a lot within your own reality. The amount that we're able to influence the reality of others is variable, and there is an energy exchange that has to happen. We can influence realities that overlap with our realities pretty easily, but for me to influence a reality that doesn't overlap with mine in any capacity might be more challenging. It also might not. Who knows? We don't know. But what I do want us to do is to stop like taking on responsibility for things that we really don't have a lot of control about. And so if I'm going to dispatch a spell into the universe, I don't want to tell the universe how to run its life. Like, that's not my business. I heard a saying once from like a minister, and the language is like whatever because it's from a minister, but like the concept is great. They said, there is my business, there is your business, and there is God's business. You don't got to worry about my business, and you certainly don't got to worry about God's business. You just got to worry about your own business. And if I am stepping out of my business to go tend to someone else's business, if I leave my post and I come up into your post and tell you how to do your business, who is watching my posts? No one. And if I leave my post to go talk to God and be like, excuse me, I ordered a Cadillac and I only got an Acura, like, what am I doing? Like, what is going on, right? Like, these are the crazy things that we think we have a say over. but we really don't. If I'm going to be brave enough to file a request with the universe, I also have to be humble enough and have enough humility to not go ahead and tell the universe how to do its job. And this is why a lot of us don't have success in our life in general, because what we are actually trying to master through detachment is trust. Trust is the undercurrent of detachment. And that sounds weird because in order to trust, we have to be very attached to like a belief that things are going to be okay, or attached to ourselves, or attached to like the concept of feeling all right, which is what we think we're achieving by being very controlling, but we actually never get to feel all right when we're very controlling. We actually really only get to feel all right when we relinquish control completely and just know we're going to survive the flow of it. Okay? So detachment allows us to access trust in this really, really, really profoundly beautiful way that opens your world up and makes miracles possible. If you can actually turn over your request to the universe and be like, I have no idea how you're going to get me into a new house by Christmas, but you're going to. If you can trust and let go, like all these miracles happen because you're no longer putting limiting beliefs and parameters upon the universe. You're no longer saying, bring me this thing, but here's the criteria you've got to meet. Because the universe might be like, oh my God, I have this perfect package to deliver to you. But then you're like, oh, but I can't get it on Tuesday, and that's the only day they can bring it to you. Like, no. Detaching allows us to not have to worry about being the authority in things that we have no business being the authority in. It's relinquishing control. It's saying, I am going to file my request, and I'm going to detach from how it has to show up. I'm just going to know that it is going to show up, and I'm going to follow anything that feels like it's in alignment with that request showing up. And when we're detached, we don't bring the shoulds with us, so we get to approach life with that curious mindset that allows us to be like in a place of awe and joy and positivity and being surprised and things working out and miracles and manifestations. That's how we all want to live. You know, presumably we're all on this podcast and we're all in our spiritual groups and we're all doing all of our things because like we just want to have that feeling of connection all the time. We just want to have that feeling of like being in the flow of the universe and things working out and like feeling like we are receiving like those downloads that everyone talks about and feeling like we are like being guided and like supported and like whatever. We must detach from how we think things should be. Because, you've been living by a series of shoulds the whole time and it hasn't felt like that to you. So, like, the moments where the energy is broken through and it has felt all that beautiful, like, alignment that you've been calling forth, when you've been able to feel that, it's not when you've been living a should. It's been when you've been brave and have, like, allowed space for a non-should to show up, and that's when you've been like, whoa. So just, like, sit with this with yourself. And talk about it with yourself and practice with yourself. Because with witchcraft, it's an interesting duality, this detachment concept when it comes to our witch work. Because we're going to go ahead and command the universe to do what we want. And that is a version of control and power, manifested power, like embodied power, right? You are the witch. You are in charge. What I say goes. This is how it's going to go ahead and be. But we're talking about how it's going to go ahead and be in a bigger scale, like the energy level of it. Not the tangible manifestation of it. This is how it's going to go ahead and be. I'm going to have peace in my life. I'm going to have joy. I'm going to have really healthy, positive relationships. I'm going to be really healthy and functional. I'm going to get done what I need to get done. My kids are going to be okay. My house is going to be okay. My life's going to be okay. We are talking big picture thing. This is how it's going to go ahead and be. And then we allow whatever weird things show up in our world that feel like, oh, maybe this is like part of it. Let's do it. It sounds weird, but let's do it. We allow those things to enter in. And because we are practicing trust in our own self and our own manifestation and in the universe for delivering, we allow those outcomes to look different, to be integrated different, to be free of shoulds. And when we're free of shoulds, that's when things can actually happen. Should does not exist in the current time and space that we are in. Should, by its very definition, means it's not. It should be like this. When and where? Because it's not like that. Should is a version of reality that is false. And so how can we manifest a version of reality that is false? How can we manifest from that place? Should doesn't exist. Should, by the very definition of itself, does not exist. And yet we go ahead and should on ourselves and the universe, and we're like, yeah, but you should have brought it to me like this. Okay, but clearly it didn't. We have to expand our mindset to be allowing ourselves to receive things different than the should, because the should's not even real. It doesn't even exist. What is happening, though, and how can we celebrate that and anchor into that and get all those good vibes out of that? How can we attach in ways that are empowering and uplifting to ourselves rather than disempowering and harmful to ourselves? This is why detachment is important. And so I just had to blip on in and do a little part 2 and finish talking about the thing, because there was a lot more groundwork than I expected on the previous episode. And I rambled for a really long time, as I tend to, but I didn't ramble all the rambles. I had more rambles to ramble, and so that's what this was about today. So thank you for listening. I'm going to pop back in later this week because I have more fun things to chat about with you, and I appreciate you listening. And if you think that you know anyone in your life who might enjoy this podcast, please feel free to go ahead and share it. I did notice some people followed me on TikTok, and I appreciate you for doing that. And I love you guys, and I will talk to you soon.